Welcome back. It's the First Takedown podcast. I'm Alex alongside a Hunter. Hunter, how we doing, big dog?
Good, dude. Normally you announce episode so-and-so. I think it's been a while. I don't even know if you looked, so.
I did, I actually thought
you
about
got
that.
baby brain. You got baby brain.
Yeah, that's true. No, I read it and I was like, episode 32. And then I was thinking about the podcast I was listening to and I was like, when do they stop listing the numbers?
True.
Because the one I was listening to today was like 100 and something. And I was like, they didn't know what number it was. So I actually did think about that before starting. But this is episode 32.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, I want to kind of open it up. I know we've been out and about. It's not wrestling season. Not too much going on right now on the backside besides, just some rule shifts and changing. So today we want to go through the old Penn State lineup and the possibilities for next year, some shifts that they could make. I mean, they've got some talent. I don't know if you've heard of Penn State wrestling. You've seen them yet?
Recently, just as of recent, but nice. Wow. Are we really mixing in? We're mixing in some stuff, aren't we? Wow.
Is that too late? There's some new tools in the podcast software.
New tools. AI.
Yeah.
Guys, we've got AI and we've got background sounds as well. I mean,
yeah. How about
that's how high level this podcast is.
All right, enough of that. We can't keep doing that.
Wear it out, dude.
I had it ready just for that joke. But yeah, I mean, what else? Getting into the Penn State lineup today. Just want to go through what they could potentially look like. I mean, some shifts, some lower guys moving up, and some talent that might never be a starter on the Penn State team.
Yeah, I mean, I think the lineup, most people see what the lineup's going to be, and it's, most people have kind of already talked about this and gone through it. I guess we'll do a little bit of like what their outlook is of each guy, what it's going to look like, and then maybe talk about some of their depth too as well. Like you just mentioned, talk about some of those guys. But I mean, the starting lineup, I mean, not much has really changed from last year to this year. Especially with now 5 for 5, you maybe get an addition of a guy that they thought was going to be gone. So we'll talk about that a little bit too. But, let's do what we always do, start at the top of the lineup. Luke Lillidahl is going to be their starter at 125. He's really the only guy they have on their roster listed at 125. I'm sure they could cut somebody down if they really needed to. But yeah, I mean, Luke Lillidahl takes one loss last year to a teammate, Nathan Desmond, and that was his only loss of the year, was a national champ, and will be ranked number 1 going into next year, and will have this year and 2 more years left as Penn State's 125-pounder.
That's so crazy. And, just thought that he would potentially win it last year, went and did it this year, and I mean, we'll get into Nate Desmond, but it's also just kind of crazy though that a lineup that has so much depth that you're like, this is our guy at 25. I mean, he is, and rightfully so, number 1. But
yeah, would you? So I mean, I think yeah. So I mean, we're going to talk about some lineup stuff. I would say that like Luke is probably the number 1 guy of just having his spot secured. And I know that's maybe people are going to be like, well, yeah, but like Mitchell Messenbrink's on the team. And I get that, but he also has some guys in that range. I'm not saying that they would beat him, but I think like there's probably a higher percentage chance that Jaden James could beat Mitchell Messenbrink by March than there is a chance that anybody at 125 could even be the starter for Penn State. I wouldn't have said that last year, obviously, with Desmond down at 25, but he's grown so much, he definitely can't make 25 anymore. So, the only other thing I guess you could say, Ono has made 57 kilos before. You just think like if there is an injury, could you ever like see a scenario where maybe Ono cuts down to 25? I doubt it, but you're kind of looking at the team and like, what's Ono going to do in 2028? Is he going to go 150, is he going to go 57 kilos, or is he going to go 65 kilos? I think you kind of have to go 57 kilos if you're Ono.
Yeah, Ono wrestled not too long ago, right? I think we finally saw him competing in something. Am I mistaken?
I think he's wrestling Ben Davino at RAF.
Okay, yeah, that's
But
right.
I don't think he's wrestled. I don't think he's wrestled in that. He hasn't wrestled recently.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's interesting because we so hyped for that. I guess we're getting into 133, but technically, but we're so hyped for him going into Penn State. I'm like, oh shoot, this opens doors for so many things. It's like you can see that they have so much depth for somebody like, oh no, that's still not necessarily like in the starting lineup, that is training there, but yeah, not I guess projected to be the starter this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think, if you give me truth serum, what do I think the lineup would be in March? I think probably, I think the odds are that it's Ono 33, Blaze 41, but I see a very, very real scenario where it's Blaze 33 and it's Nate Desmond at 41. Like I legitimately think that's like a high probability. Maybe not as high as what I just said with Ono at 33 and Blaze at 41. But, the coaches kind of just let these guys figure out what they're going to do for the most part. I mean, every now and again, they'll kind of meddle and they'll get in and say, you need to do this, you need to do that weight wise. But I mean, like, Ono's never wrestled a folk style match. I'm not saying he's not going to be good, like not going to be good or by any means. I think he could be really good. But the flow guys were talking about like Jax Forrest versus Ono in folk style, and I'm like, man, I don't see any scenario where Ono beats Jax in folk style. Like I just don't. Kozak was mentioning that, and I'm like, man, I just don't see any scenario, and I kind of agreed with him. Like the amount of takedowns you'd have to get against Jax, and they got to be folk style takedowns, right? Like that's a lot different than scoring a freestyle exposure or scoring a freestyle takedown. Like guys kind of give up the position in freestyle a lot versus in folk style, you can kind of dive for the position. You can roll on your back, you can roll ankles, like you can do a lot of stuff. So it is a little different, guys just saying takedown's a takedown. It's not necessarily how I see it. In the sport of wrestling, I think you see guys give up takedowns in freestyle a little bit easier because they don't want to give up that big amount of exposure or a lace or a gut or so.
Yeah, and I mean the push out, it makes such a difference for just like wrestling on the edge and giving up takedowns like on the edge, and just the way that Jax Forrest wrestles, like it can be so creative, even close to the edge of the. Don't get me talking about Jax Forrest, but
I know. Sorry, I don't know. This isn't a Jax Forrest.
But still,
podcast.
I know what you're
Penn
saying.
State podcast.
Yeah, but that's another thing of like even just with the push out of the way that wrestling with like takedowns and have a little bit more room of like wrestling to the edge. I think it's not the same match. It's not the same match.
But so it's interesting to me. Like I really want to see Marcus and Jax wrestle in folk style, because I see what it looks like in freestyle, and that's a very, Marcus wrestles a very freestyle minded style, even in folk style, right? So, I'm curious to see how that goes with Ono and Marcus. I think it would be similar to what we'd see in freestyle, which we saw Ono beat Blaze in freestyle. So I think it would be similar. But in folk style, I think it's kind of a different game when you have the style of what Jax has. But with Marcus, I don't really necessarily see it that way. Whereas I think that Ono and Marcus would wrestle a very. It would look very, like I said, it would look very similar to how they would wrestle a freestyle match.
Yeah, and same thing, even like Seidel wrestling, Marcus Blaze compared freestyle to folk style. I feel like that match is so different too.
I
just
agree.
with the style wrestles, but. Yeah, but it's interesting. Oh no, it would be cool to see him get in the lineup, and I think we'll probably see him wrestle at least a few matches this year, right? You think in like
Kale? I mean, Kale said he's going to wrestle this year, so we'll see. In what capacity is that? Is he in the starting lineup? Is he wrestling in open? Is he wrestling in just Abdul and Bryce Jordan. What does that look like? We don't really know. We know the guys there training, he's gonna continue to get better, and he's already really, really good. But if you had to pick, let's just, we're picking kind of what our Penn State lineup looks like. I'm gonna just say, going into the postseason, it's Luke, it's Ono, it's Marcus. Do you see it similar, or do you see something else?
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I think I wonder I wonder if Marcus has a little bit. I mean, I guess it's going to depend on how he grows a little bit too with some of these guys because they're still a little bit young. Like Marcus, is a younger kid, and I I think maybe he has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder of like, hey, I proved myself a little bit like freestyle. Like I want to come in and be the 133 national champ. So I don't know. I feel like maybe he might have something in his head, and I'm just definitely making up. But I think
Yeah,
he
yeah, but I
could.
mean, then I start thinking like, I mean, part of me does. I sit there and I go, okay, well, but what is Marcus? Is his goal to be the Olympian at 65 kilos? Like, obviously, he made the 61 team this year. What's his goals like for 2028? Does he want to cut back down to 33? Does he think he's a 41? I mean, look, the top of the heap at 41 next year is Bo Bassett, Luke Stanich, maybe Jesse Mendez. Maybe Mendez goes 49, but like that's
Hmm.
kind of the top of the heap. We saw Marcus wrestle Bo and look really, really good against Bo. Now, that was a year ago, right? Over a year ago. And we know Bo's gotten a lot better since then, but man, Marcus, he just has stayed pretty solid against guys like that. And I think up at 41, like, I think Marcus would look really good. He stays in such good position,
Yeah.
for the future of Marcus and what he's trying to do. I think 41 would be a good spot, but what, I mean, maybe Desmond, I mean, we legitimately don't know. Like, maybe Desmond's with some of those guys, in a
Yeah.
folk style match. I mean, I don't know. I have full confidence in saying that I don't think Braden Davis is right there with those guys. Like, I just
Right.
don't think he's at that level. But, we watched Desmond beat Lillidahl. Now, he might have been
Hmm.
140 pounds when he did it. Who knows? Like, but we watched that happen last year. We know how good Luke is, right? And
Yeah.
Desmond beat him. Now, I know they're teammates. I know they wrestle all the time, but I'd be curious to see what he can do with a guy like Ono, right?
Yeah.
That just doesn't have any folk style experience.
Well, even I mean, getting into 141 with Desmond making the jump, do you think that had any like coach meddling, or you think that was mainly just growth? Like, hey, 41 is a little bit open. There's some flexibility.
Well, when the
Like,
gal got hurt, I think that was kind of like, oh, find your way into the starting lineup. Like, and that's why I think Davis ended up going. Now,
hmm
that makes me worry a little bit about where Desmond's level is like, if he wasn't beating Braden Davis, and then this is no knock against Braden Davis. Like, the kid's a good wrestler. He's an All-American. We're just talking about like the standard to wrestle in Penn State's lineup is a lot higher than most programs. But I mean, if he couldn't clear Davis, which it felt like he couldn't, unless he was just redshirting for whatever reason, then like I don't understand why you don't just, if he wasn't that level, then it makes you worry like, okay, he's not beating Marcus or
yeah,
Massa. So
yeah. Well, yeah, and that is a good point. I mean, think about. I mean, right now WrestleStat has Nate Desmond at number 6, and we still haven't seen him wrestle 141. And I know it's a little bit of a jump. Like I feel like sometimes when you come from a 125 to jumping a couple weights, just the style is a little bit different. But I think it just him showing already at like 6, and we know like what Ono or like Blaze could do at like 141. I think it's not as much of a big like talent pool like the top guys. There's a few studs, but
right,
yeah, it'll be interesting. Is that a I
yeah,
see
and
a Cunningham. I don't want to cut you off, but
I don't know, I don't
another
know.
is that another
I'm
Cunningham?
not sure. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know Hayden Cunningham. I don't know the name very well, and that could be on me for not. I'm not in the high school streets like I used to be. I used to
For
know all
this.
these guys, but I know. I mean, Dalton Perry was a big time recruit. Sam Herring was a big time recruit. I know those guys. I know Connor Pierce's name just because he's been in the program for a long time and he's pretty good. But it seems like he's probably going to be a guy on the outside looking in because Van Ness has another year and he's probably going to be the guy. Made the national finals last year. Came up short again. He's finished what I think third twice and second once.
Mm-hmm.
He's come up short a couple times, and now that's an even tougher weight class, 149 this coming year.
Yeah, it is, and I mean, especially if you do get like Jesse Mendez back, like it's Sergio Vega potentially like going up. Like 49 is 49 last year. We were like, who knows? It could be Shane Van Ness, but maybe not, and it
Yeah.
wasn't. And now and like Caleb Penson coming back, it's just a much tougher weight this year. So
Yeah, man. I mean, Van Ness, Valencia, Van Ness, Caleb Henson, maybe Jesse Mendez, Sergio Vega. I mean, it's a whole different weight now. It's
yeah,
just a completely different weight. So we'll see how he finishes up. I mean, I definitely don't think there's probably not anybody picking Shane Van Ness to win a national title this year. Like
yeah,
in media, right? Like
yeah,
most guys, like I don't like. I think if he had his year to do it, it was last year. He was the number one seed. He had pretty much throttled everybody up into that point. He had some really scary matches at the national tournament, but ended up pulling it out, getting it done at the national tournament, and or he had some scary matches at Big Tens too. I'm pretty sure. Like
yeah,
he had some close matches at Big Tens. Ends up pulling it out and making the finals, but then just couldn't get it done against Valencia. But he'll obviously be in the hunt. He'll be right there. But you probably don't feel good seeing a matchup between Van Ness and like Vega. Like that
yeah,
that to me screams like Vega counter score.
yeah. Counter score, crazy scramble. Yeah,
Right. Now, the thing is, Van Ness tries so much stuff and like just kind of like he hand fights and kind of wears you down. Like I do see him being able to maybe get Sergio Vega tired,
mm-hmm.
but like then you have to go get to the legs and score, or you got to score, like a go behind, and that's just easier said than done. So he'll be the guy. I think he probably finishes top 4 again and has a stellar career with Penn State, but I think I don't really see him getting it done in March.
That would be crazy if this was the year that he did actually get it done with
Yeah,
just like the
seriously.
level. I mean, it might be like the Shane Van Ness way to do it, like and giving up first takedowns all the way
hardest
there,
way.
but then
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so some depth there, but yeah, definitely I think solidified himself as a starter for at least this year. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean now we can get into the weight that really, I mean, 157 probably just as many question marks as like 41 and 33.
Yeah, some talent the two. I mean, they have PJ Duke listed as a starter right now. Was a freshman, got, lost in the semis barely. A pretty interesting call. We won't go into that, but still came back and he got third, right? Came back and got third.
He did.
Yeah,
He
and
dominated.
yeah, and then but you've also got Tyler Kasak, and then you've got Joe Seeley also there, at 57. So I don't know. Like I guess for Kasak, my question is, I feel like he's been redshirted, but was running into some injuries. Do you think a healthy Taylor Kasak could still get into the lineup this year?
So he has had some concussion issues, which is not great, not what you want to see. But I mean, dude, I just don't necessarily see what has shown that like maybe PJ has cleared Kasak. Like Kasak was the 1 seed. Now PJ was too, but like Kasak was the 1 seed, came in. The loss that he had to Blaze, he had already won that match. He had kind of already beaten everybody in that weight class and just took a loss to a guy that he was probably better than, and just, it happens. And So both of these guys, the 1 seed, they ended up finishing third back-to-back years. Like, I just don't see a whole lot of separation between the two of these guys. And so I really think it's going to come down to, most of the time you would say this comes down to like, oh, the guys will wrestle in a tournament, whoever finishes, this, that, or the third. But like, there's not many guys better than these guys. So like, they're going to have to, like, the only way to really like settle it is they got to wrestle, in my opinion. Or, the coaches just make a decision. This guy's going to do this guy's going to do that. Now, I mean, used to what you would do is you'd say, oh, PJ can redshirt, K-Sack can go 57, Van Nessel graduate, K-Sack can go down, because, he was at 41 a few years ago. PJ can go 57, or, Mitchell graduates, PJ can go up to 65. They can play with the lineup, but now these guys got 5 years. Nobody wants to redshirt, so they're all going to be trying to make the lineup. I think it'll be PJ, but I mean, I legit think it's like 60-40. I really don't see much separation between the two, and I don't know how, like, can PJ hold 57 all year? Like, I don't know. Like, he's big, he's a big kid. I think K-Sack is a legit 57, and he would be able to hold that throughout the entirety of the season. So maybe they wrestle both guys. Who knows? I mean, it kind of depends on what Mitchell does, or, if Levi's back, then I guess it kind of depends on what Levi does. I don't really know who wins between those guys, but, whoever's decision it is between those. I mean, either way, you can't, at some point you're bumping a guy who was top 3 in the country out of the lineup, until you get to heavyweight. So
that's what's crazy when you get to this part, because even you have a guy like Joe Seeley, who did he beat this in freestyle?
He beat David Carr.
Yeah. And so like, even like a guy that's like not even gonna, maybe scratch like the surface of starting, because you have two guys that are, former 1 seeds in the national tournament. And it's crazy. I feel like the only reason I'm leaning towards PJ Duke is just watching K-Sack like go through. Like, I hope he doesn't have any more injuries or concussions. Like, I would like to see a healthy K-Sack, but I'm just a little bit nervous that might still just hold him back a little bit, because he's kind of got like a headbanger kind of style, and so it's just doesn't do you good when you also have concussions, and that's a little bit of your style of wrestling. But
yeah, so let's just say it is Duke. What would be your projection for him this year?
Projection for like how he does in the season
at the national tournament.
At the national tournament. You want me to go through every match, or just no? Just kidding.
No. Just what place does PJ finish? Well, you're looking at the podium. Where's he at?
I mean, it's at least his weight isn't changing that much, right? At least like the top guys.
It was good last year. It's going to be good again. You'll probably lose, like, Larkin's going to be out of that weight.
But I mean, still, like, looking at these top guys, you've got, I mean, Cardenas, Brandon Cannon, Ty Waters, Antrell, Robidou, Canna Webster. I mean, I feel like he's going to come back and be on another level a little bit for some reason. PJ Duke, like, I think he'll come back and win it this year. Want to root for Robidou, but I just feel like PJ definitely going to have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, kind of like how Luke Lillidahl did this year. Like, I came in, I lost a match last year. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I agree. I think PJ's the guy at 57. I think he's kind of the pick right now. You could go him or Robidou, and I really think those guys will both jump a level, and they'll probably be wrestling instead of on Saturday night, or instead of on Friday night. They'll be wrestling Saturday night. I think they'll be in the finals together. And I think we'll see a different level from both of those guys. But I am curious to see. I kind of would like to see K-Sack in this weight, because I'd like to watch him against Robidou. I'd like to see that match. Yeah,
that would be good. I know, and it's almost like, dang, I love Levi, but I'd like to see both of them in the lineup just to see like the shift. But I just don't know if that's
but I mean, hell, happen. there's no guarantee if Levi was gone that both of those guys would. I mean, with a guy like that, we're going to talk. I mean, right now we could just get into 65. Like, obviously, we think Mitchell will be the guy at 65. We think Levi will be the guy at 74. But, I mean, if it's not those guys, you could see Jaden James at 65, who just made a junior world team. And you could see You could see Will Hankel or Asher Cunningham in the lineup at 74, which, that name doesn't sound as great as PJ Duke or Tyler Kasak, but those guys are really good.
Still,
So,
yeah, could be like All-Americans on another team
for sure.
next year. Yeah, and I think, I mean, at least you still feel really good if you're a Penn State wrestling fan, as if anything were to happen, if Levi wasn't to like wrestle this next year, like you have still the depth in those weights, and you have guys that
For
can come
sure.
up and be the next man up.
No, this to me, it, like from 57 to 74 is the best part of Penn State's lineup from a top end talent standpoint and from a depth standpoint. I think that they have the number ones that are all the best for the most part. I think you could pick PJ, Mitchell, and Levi to win a national title, and that's probably likely that they all win national titles. And then I think the guys up under them are like that next tier of guys that would all be on the podium in March. I would pick Jaden James to be an All-American. I would pick Will Hankel to be an All-American, and I would pick Tyler Kasak to be an All-American. So I think this is the best part of their lineup, top end, and I think it's the best part of their lineup as far as depth goes. But
so
I mean,
much
I think we, yeah, oh, for sure. I mean, if somebody gets hurt, obviously they've got plenty of options. But I mean, I do think, it gets a lot easier after 57. Like it's all kind of decided until, you get to heavyweight. So, I mean, we don't have to like really go into depth there. I think we all think it's going to be Mitchell, Levi, Rocco, and then Josh Barr at 97.
Yeah, and I mean, right now they don't have another like 84 listed, but again, I like some of those, either of those 74.
Yeah, Asher Cunningham could go 84. I mean, they could if they had an injury. I mean, hell, Levi could probably go 84 if he really wanted to. I'd actually like to see him against like McAnally. I think that'd be a good match. So
yeah, as a coach, you're like, oh, this is great for duels. We could bump guys around, but I'm like, it's Penn State. They're just going to keep their best guys. Like that's their best guys. So it's like, yeah.
How do you think? So Rocco. Rocco's wrestled 2 years now. He's taken second twice. What do you see next year? His outlook. Obviously, you picked McAnally to win after we did our. I remember that, and he did. McAnally won. He looked great. What do you think? Who do you think will be the guy in March? And where do you think Rocco falls into that? What does he need to do to kind of get over that hump?
I remember being so excited for 84 last year. And then as we go to watch it through the season, I'm like, dang, I'm just not as exciting as I wanted it to be, because every match was so similar. And a lot of these guys, and I think no matter who it is, like they're wrestling similar matches. Now, Aiden Sinclair wrestles, I think, a lot different. I think McAnally's a little bit more aggressive, but Rocco, like Angelo, like these guys are going to keep it close and can squeeze out matches. I think Rocco's still really good at edging out like when he needs to. But I still think he's got to get some more offense if he wants to be the top guy. Like I could see him getting to the finals again, but I think got to see him get a little bit more offensive. And I started to open up, but I feel like I still didn't see it all the way for him to be like the favorite.
Yeah. I agree. I think this 84 group is going to look the same for the next few years. And I hate to be that person that's like, oh man, we got to watch, I love guys that are close. I love chess matches, but we were really excited for it going into the year, and it kind of fell flat just because they were all so close. I think Rocco probably has just as good a chance as any of these guys to probably win a national title. Especially with the right draw. Like last year, he had such a good draw because all those other guys were on the opposite side, and that's because he had a great season. Like he deserved to have that. But I think the thing is that with Rocco, I see like obviously McAnally made adjustments from their first meeting to that next meeting. I see like a guy like like Angelo over the summer and a guy like, Aiden, like those guys are going to get, not that Rocco won't get better, but I think those guys are gonna start really getting to a point to test Rocco even more. And so
Yeah.
I have more of a doom and gloom look on his. I do think he could win it. I'm not saying he can't. I think he has the ability to, but like I see him as like the lower part of this tier going into the year, or like right there with Ferrari, like kind of is just what are we getting different that we didn't get last year? And I don't want to be all dooming, like we only saw the dude lose one match. He lost in the national finals. Like I get it. But like I'd like to see Rocco and Aiden. Like I think Aiden probably edges that match. Like I would pick Aiden to win that match.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think the biggest reason you probably think about that is because we saw him as a freshman make the finals at Ohio State, and then making the jump to Penn State. We're like, oh yeah, he's gonna take it to the next level this year, and it was still a little bit of the same, still really really good,
right? No, still and on that upper echelon, like on that tier, but not like that. Like if you're gonna wrestle like that, you almost have to be like Carter Starachi, where it's just like it doesn't matter how, like you're gonna win the matches, like you
right.
like, and I know that's easier said than done. I'm not trying to say that this is what Rocco needs to do, but it's like even when Starachi got down to McAnally a few years ago, you just knew like he was gonna come back and win that match, like he was just gonna find a way to win that match. And when you watch Rocco, they're all like, it's kind of like coin flips. It's like I'm watching a little bit of like, there's a little bit of Ventresca that's going on there, right? So
is he going to time it right so that he can give a takedown or not give a takedown up in the last 10, 15 seconds?
So we'll see. I think he's a guy where you look at the outlook and it's similar to last year, but unless you see some changes, like, and obviously he's in an awesome room, like he's going to keep getting better. I'm not saying that he's not, but it just throughout the year, you didn't really see that, like, man, all of a sudden against those best guys, he's got this like stellar offense,
Yeah.
Maybe if he'd get him tired, there were a couple guys like Fishback, he ran him down after giving up a bunch of points. And I think, he beat up on Allred pretty good, right? So like you can see him do it. It's just one of those guys that I'm like, man, I'm not sure what the outlook is here. And if this weight composition's really going to change in the next few years. Doesn't feel like it.
No, and well, onto the next weight, I don't think this is going to change. I think Josh Barr is the guy at 97 and will probably be a two-time national champ by this time next year.
Right.
So
I agree.
Not too exciting, but I think he just is on a different level than all the other guys right now.
Yeah, and then it really just comes down to which Mirasola brother we think is in the starting lineup. Cole went last year, did an All-American. They had two guys that weren't All-Americans. It was Cole Mirasola and it was Braden Davis. And I think you'll see changes at both weights. And not just because like, oh, the guy didn't place, like we got to get somebody else in here. I just think they're going to go a different route. I think they talked to the other Mirasola and were like, hey, we're not beating the guy at 97. Like, let's just go up, let's go up to heavyweight. And I don't even know if it'll be a wrestle off. It'll just be like, hey, you had your shot last year. I got my shot this year.
That's pretty crazy. And I remember seeing a interview with them, I think back when Big Greg was still there, but like they were like, yeah, we're not, because neither of them were in the lineup at that time, and they were like, no, we're going to be at Penn State for all 4 years no matter what. And I'm like, well, 5 years, but which is still like, which understandable and respectable, but I'm like, you guys are good, like you could be at another All-American somewhere else, or qualifier, but still it's just also just crazy that twin brothers are at the same weight class now,
the same weight,
at Penn State.
You've heard Connor talk about like his goal was always just like being the best wrestler in the world. It felt like he wanted to be the best 97 kilo guy. So, it's kind of interesting with him. It's like he's a little bit of a tweener. He's kind of caught between 97 and heavyweight a little bit because he is that 97 kilo weight class. But no, man, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's one of the more interesting situations where you got two twin brothers that aren't. I mean, the other one we'll talk about next time, but I mean, the Rainey twins are,
Mm-hmm.
they're at the same team. They might be the same weight, or
Yeah.
even if they're different weights, one of them might not make the lineup. So it's kind of interesting to find, yourself in a situation where you're battling out with your own twin brother to get a starting spot.
Yeah. It'd be pretty interesting, and it'll be a fun story if they do, like, if we see a switch there, and it might be better to go like a little bit smaller, like depending on the top guys and heavyweight. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it'll
What
be
is your
interesting.
outlook if Connor is the guy? What do obviously that weight loses a ton.
Yeah, yeah, that's how I was looking. They have Dean as number one for Little Rock
Yeah.
right now. This will look totally different by this time next year, I think. Ben Keeter, like, the thing is, I think either one of them this year could be an All-American
Yeah.
for sure.
I think
At least
anybody
just,
could win the weight, if I'm being
yeah,
completely honest. I mean, like, to me, if you're like, who is the front runner at this weight? I'm like, oh, this guy. And I could go down that and tell you that for every single weight class. The one weight where I feel like I have no idea, like, it's like legit a crapshoot, is heavyweight. And then the next one would probably be 49
Doucette has another year.
or 41. Well, so technically,
Mm,
but it sounds like, and we'll talk about this will be
yeah,
on
we'll get to
Oklahoma
that.
State
Yeah,
talk. We'll get to this, but
preview.
we have much more of the. We'll dive a little bit deeper. We don't really know the story on a lot of these. Like with Stilly Boys, I feel like they tell you a lot more about what's going
Yeah.
on with the team and with the freshmen and guys like that. So
Penn State, you don't even know what's going on there.
no, I mean
Never.
Kale did do an interview with Christian Piles, and I
That's
watched
true.
that interview. It was a pretty good interview. But it was surface level, man. It felt very like just I'm going to ask you some certain questions, and you already know what they're going to be, and you're going to answer those, and I'm not going to ask you anything other than that, which is fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, going through the lineup, obviously, I know we have some like push for wanting it to be a closer team race.
Yeah, it's
with
going to be
like
worse.
Oklahoma State and and Virginia Tech, and then we go through this lineup. We're like, another year, another Penn State championship, another.
Yeah, I'm afraid, especially if Levi's there, I think it's going to be even worse. I do think we're getting to the even more so the haves and the have-nots. I think there's a chance where in the first time that I would have never said that this was even like possible. I think this is the first year that I even would say that it's possible, or guys will be ranked to where two teams could have 10 All-Americans.
Yeah.
Obviously one of them being Penn State. And so, their outlook looks great. Obviously they're going to lose some guys after next year. If they do in fact lose like a Messentbrink and a Haynes after next year, and some of those other guys, if Ono only has 1 year, Van Ness, they're gonna lose some guys after next year, and then it'll be interesting. It'll start getting a little more interesting. But they're not. I mean, it's not like the fall off's going to be that dramatic. Trust me, right? Like they're going to be ready to go in a couple of years. But I think we're just we want this team race. We're excited about it. We're going to have to wait at least another year to really get anything remotely close to a team race. So
yeah. Every year we're like, maybe this year it's going to be something, and then it's another year of actually maybe Penn State's going to break their previous scoring record. Like it's crazy. They are very good. There's a reason that we were talking about them first, and a reason that they are so good and have so many good coaches. So they're still really, really fun to watch, and I'm excited to see these guys. And I'm excited to see what the final lineup does look like, and yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, they'll be a tough team to beat in March. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's the Penn State kind of breakdown. We're going to what you say. You say go Pokes next.
We'll do a Pokes one next. I mean, you got to go in NCAA finish order,
Yeah,
So,
you're right. You're right. So
we'll talk Pokes.
Yeah,
next.
we'll dig into them because they've got some moving around to do, probably more than Penn State does, and so
right. I got a lot of moving
fun
around, so we'll talk.
Yeah. But all right, well, I appreciate you guys listening. Go like, subscribe, comment, follow. Go Penn State. Good work.
Smash the like button. That's what.
Smash
I think
it.
that's
Smash it. Yeah.
Smash the like button.
Wait for it.
Yep. Yeah. We did it. Another episode.
Another episode in the
down.
books. All righty. Well, I don't know how to. that's a long cheer.
Okay.
That's a long cheer. I stopped it. All right.
We need
Appreciate you guys.
We need to get some parameters around that.
Peace.
Later.